Hey everybody, it's Matthew, Body Smith Coach, and I'm back again with a new video. This time we're learning how to throw that cross. So that right hand, if you're an orthodox fighter, if you're a southpaw fighter, that's that left hand. But again, I'm orthodox, so if you are a southpaw, everything I say is just in reverse. If you haven't watched my previous video on how to throw your jab, I highly recommend you do that first. The jab's the most important punch in boxing before you learn anything else. So let's get into it today. So, we're in our stance that we learned from our last video, just in that jab stance. And when we're throwing that right punch, or that cross punch I should say, what I want you to set up with is that jab first. So before we even throw that right hand, the first thing we're gonna do is set up our right hand with that left jab. So we're here in our stance, we throw that jab, and what we're doing next is launching out that right hand almost in the exact same way that we threw that jab. So remember in the last video I was talking about pulling back your shoulder. When you're throwing that cross, now when this hand comes back to guard your face, you're not staying here and just throwing that punch. You want to be pulling that left hip and right shoulder back so you get all that rotational power and launch that hard hand into the bag, okay? So we'll see that again. So we'll do that left, a little bit of a step in there. That left hand's coming back, rotating over with those hips, pulling that left shoulder back with that left hand up high on our guard, and just launching that right hand, nice and powerful, staying over that center of gravity. We don't want to be pushing into the bag or falling over. You want to maintain that good distancing, and then right back to our boxing stance. So if we speed that up a little bit, here's what it looks like. And right back to our stance, right? So one more time here, and right back. So if you slow that down, what you're gonna see is that snappiness that you get with the power in the hips, and the legs, and the rotation. So one more thing I wanna show you is a bit of the footwork. So I move back a little bit so you can see the feet now. So the main thing when you're throwing that right cross as a novice boxer or as a beginner boxer, one thing I highly suggest is you work on pivoting the feet. Footwork is one of the most important things in boxing, and we'll get into that in later videos. But as we're throwing this right hand right now, one of the main things I want you to focus on is pivoting that back foot when you throw that right hand. What you'll notice is I'm staying on my toes. I'm always on my toes. Boxers are always on our toes. That's why we're skipping all the time. We want to make sure we're nice and bouncy, and we can pivot nice and fast when we're throwing punches. When we're throwing that right hand, you could almost imagine you're putting out a cigarette or you're stomping on a bug and you're twisting it into the ground when you throw that right hand. So we're here in our jabs, or in our boxing stance. I throw that jab, watch the feet here, and I'm twisting and again, pivoting on that right foot. That's where that starts. That whole power transfer starts from the feet, goes up through the legs, into the hips, through the abs, and then finally finishes on that right cross. So one more time here, boom, and again, you'll see that pivot in the foot. So there you go guys, practice these two punches, that jab and that cross, master them before you try anything else because these are the punches, especially as a novice boxer or beginner boxer, that are really going to improve your skill and be the most useful in a fight situation.